Ladies and gentlemen, there is a darkness in this world, one that does not announce itself with fangs or claws, but with a smile. You may already know them. They may sit beside you, speak sweetly to you, and shake your hand with warmth. But beneath the surface, their heart beats cold as ice. The most dangerous monsters do not lurk in shadows. No, they stand in the light, watching, waiting. And if you do not know what to look for, you will not see them until it is too late. Today, I will reveal 6 red flags that expose the truly evil among us, and by the time we are finished, you will never look at the people around you the same way again. There are those who move through this world unseen, not because they hide in the shadows, but because they know how to become the light. They smile at the right moments, offer a kind word when needed, and carry themselves with an air of sincerity so convincing that even the wisest among us may be deceived. But make no mistake, kindness, when wielded by the wrong hands, is the most dangerous weapon of all. They study you. They learn what makes you laugh, what makes you feel safe, what makes you trust. And once they have that knowledge, they do not rush. No, they wait. They give you exactly what you need when you need it, so that when the time comes, you do not question their presence in your life. Because trust is not stolen, it is earned. And they know how to earn it better than anyone. But listen carefully. True kindness has no agenda. It asks for nothing in return. It does not keep a tally, does not remind you of the favors it has done, does not expect to cash in on your gratitude. The moment a person's kindness feels too perfect, too tailored, too rehearsed, it is time to ask yourself, what is their goal? What do they gain? Because when the mask slips, and it always does, it will not be gradual, it will not be subtle. It will be a revelation so sudden that you will wonder how you ever missed it. The problem is, most people refuse to believe they have been deceived. They do not want to admit that the person they trusted, the person who seemed so good, was anything but. And so they ignore the small signs, the tiny betrayals, the inconsistencies, the fleeting moments where something feels off. They make excuses. They tell themselves they are imagining things. Because it is easier to believe a beautiful lie than to face an uncomfortable truth. But let me tell you something, your instincts do not lie. If something deep within you whispers that something is wrong, listen. If you feel a hesitation before speaking, a tightening in your chest, a moment where your mind says, be careful, do not dismiss it. That is not paranoia. That is wisdom. And the cost of ignoring it may be greater than you can imagine. Works so well. Because we want to believe in good. We want to see the best in others. We want to think that the person standing beside us, offering us their friendship, their love, their loyalty, is exactly what they appear to be. And that is why evil never presents itself as evil. It arrives dressed as kindness, generosity, and understanding. It becomes what you need most until you are no longer useful. And that brings us to something far darker. Because what happens when you are no longer useful to someone who never truly cared for you in the first place? What happens when a person who has spent their life perfecting the art of deception is suddenly forced to reveal who they really are? Watch closely. Watch their eyes when someone else is in pain. Watch their reaction when someone suffers. Do they feel it? Do they flinch? Do they show any sign of human emotion? Or do they remain untouched, cold, indifferent? Because there are those among us who do not feel as you do. They do not mourn losses. They do not regret their actions. You will know them by their silence. They carry the weight of their own cruelty. When someone cries in front of them, they do not reach out. When someone is in distress, they do not offer comfort. They may pretend, but it is always just that, pretending. And if you look closely, if you allow yourself to truly see, you will notice that their kindness has a limit. It is not infinite. It is not unconditional. It exists only so long as it benefits them. And when it no longer does, when they no longer need to be good, They will turn cold as winter steel. They will forget every promise, every moment of warmth, every word that made you believe they were different, because for them, those things were never real. They were tools. And now that those tools are no longer needed, they will be discarded just as easily as they were used. Some people believe that remorse is universal, that everyone deep down feels guilt for their wrongdoings. But that is a dangerous assumption, because there are those among us who do not feel guilt. They do not look back on their actions and wonder if they could have done better. They do not lose sleep over the pain they cause. If anything, they see it as proof of their strength, of their ability to move through this world untouched by sentimentality or weakness. Do not mistake this for confidence. This is not the certainty of someone who knows their worth. It is the emptiness of someone who feels nothing. And a person who feels nothing can do anything. This is what makes them dangerous, not the words they speak, not the kindness they feign, not even the lies they tell. It is their indifference, their absolute lack of connection to the world around them, the absence of humanity. And if you think you can change them, if you think your love, your loyalty, your belief in their goodness will bring out something that was never there to begin with, but then you have already lost. Because the one thing they cannot control, the one thing they cannot twist or manipulate, is your awareness. The moment you see them for what they are, the moment you stop explaining away their cruelty, the moment you recognize that the kindness they offer is a performance rather than a truth, you take away their power. Because evil does not thrive in confrontation. It thrives in blindness. It thrives in the excuses people make, in the doubts they ignore, in the trust they continue to give despite the evidence against it. Evil needs you to look away, to second-guess yourself, to believe that the voice in your head telling you something is wrong is just paranoia. But you know better. You always have. The question is, will you listen? There are those who do not argue, do not shout, do not raise their fists or lose their temper, because they do not need to. Their power is far more refined, far more insidious. They do not force their will upon you. No, that would be too obvious, too crude. Instead, they do something far more dangerous. They make you doubt yourself. They make you question your own memory, your own perception, your own grip on reality. You may have known someone like this. A person who always seems to twist the past just enough to make you wonder if you misremembered. A person who denies things they once said, insists that something never happened, or claims you misunderstood, no matter how clear it was at the time. And at first, it seems small, a forgotten detail here, a minor correction there, but soon the pattern emerges. Suddenly you find yourself explaining things that should never need explanation. You find yourself second-guessing moments you once felt sure of. You feel the ground beneath you start to shift, and you do not know why. Because the truth has not changed, only the way they tell it has. Some people do not break you with force, they break you by unraveling your certainty, piece by piece, until you no longer trust your own thoughts. You will stand before them with facts, with proof, with the clear memory of what happened, and they will look you in the eyes and tell you that you are wrong. And not just wrong, they will make you feel unreasonable for even believing otherwise. They will say you are overreacting, being dramatic, looking for problems that do not exist. And when they say it enough times, when they wear you down enough, when you are exhausted from defending your own reality, something dangerous happens. You start to believe them. You start to wonder if maybe they are right. Maybe you are imagining things. Maybe you are being too sensitive. Maybe you are the problem. And once that thought takes root, they no longer have to control you. You will control yourself. You will hesitate before questioning them. You will dismiss your own instincts. You will silence yourself before they ever need to do it for you. This is how they win. Not by proving you wrong. And this is why they fear doubt clarity that you are ever right. Anything else. because clarity is the one thing they cannot twist, cannot distort, cannot manipulate. If you refuse to play their game, if you refuse to let them rewrite the past, if you stand firm in the truth, no matter how many times they try to shake it, they lose their power. The moment you stop explaining yourself to someone who has no interest in understanding you, the moment you stop seeking validation from a person who thrives on your confusion, is the moment they realize they have no control over you. And that is something they cannot afford. Because for them, control is everything, and nothing gives them more satisfaction than watching someone fall apart in their eyes when they see someone break. A flicker of pleasure so brief that most people miss it. A small, almost imperceptible satisfaction in watching someone struggle, in seeing the pain that they themselves caused. Because for them, pain is not an accident, it is a choice, a calculated, deliberate decision. And some people do not just tolerate suffering, they enjoy it. Suffering is, in essence, just a living machine, and it just knows what to do. And some people do not just tolerate suffering, they enjoy it. If you have ever met someone like this, you will know what I mean. You will know what it feels like to be around a person who seems almost energized by destruction. A person who thrives on the misfortune of others, who laughs a little too hard when someone fails, who enjoys watching someone squirm under pressure. At first you may not believe it. You may tell yourself that they did not mean it, that they simply have a dark sense of humor, that they do not realize how cruel they are being. But deep down, you know. You see it in the way they linger a little too long when someone is in distress, in the way they mask their amusement just enough to keep it hidden, but not enough to make it disappear. They may not hurt with their own hands, but they do not have to, because their power is not in what they do, it is in what they enjoy, what they cultivate, what they create in others. They push just enough, manipulate just enough, set things in motion just enough, and then they step back and watch. Watch the chaos unfold. Watch the suffering play out like a performance. Some people are not just satisfied with peace. Peace does not excite them. It does not give them the feeling of control, of power, of superiority that they crave. So they create storms where there should be calm. They stir tension where there should be trust. They plant doubts where there should be certainty. And then, when the damage is done, they sit back and enjoy the destruction they caused. And if you think this is simply cruelty, you are mistaken. This is something deeper, something colder, because cruelty suggests impulse, emotion, a lack of control. But this is not impulse. This is design. A deliberate, careful, methodical unraveling of another person's confidence, stability, and peace. So what do you do when you find yourself standing before someone like this? What do you do when you realize that the person beside you is not simply unkind, not simply careless, but deliberately destructive? You recognize it. You do not explain it away. You do not make excuses. You do not convince yourself that they do not mean it, that they will change, that they simply do not see what they are doing, because they do see. They have always seen. And the more you try to change them, the more you try to make them see the harm they cause, the more you feed exactly what they want, your suffering. Because to them, suffering is not a tragedy, it is entertainment. And the only way to win against a person who enjoys watching others break is to refuse to break at all. Trust is a fragile thing. It takes years to build, moments to break, and an eternity to repair. It is the foundation upon which every relationship, every bond, every connection between people is built. And yet, to some, trust is nothing but a tool, something to be used, discarded, and broken without hesitation. There are those who do not value trust because they do not experience it the way you do. To you, it is sacred. To them, it is an opportunity, a way in, a means to an end. They will earn it not because they respect it, but because they understand its power. They will tell you everything you need to hear, show you the right amount of vulnerability, make you believe they are different. They will look into your eyes with conviction, swear their loyalty, and make you feel safe. And when the time comes, when it suits their purpose, they will betray you without a second thought. They will not hesitate. They will not struggle with the decision. They will not lose sleep over it, because to them loyalty is not a virtue, it is a weakness. And they do not see people as companions, as partners, as loved ones. They see people as resources, as stepping stones, as temporary figures in a game only they know the rules to. Some betray for gain. They will stand beside you for as long as it benefits them, but the moment a better opportunity presents itself, they will trade you in like currency. There will be no guilt, no sorrow, no reflection, only a cold, calculated decision made with one person in mind, themselves. Others betray simply to watch what happens, not because they need to, not because they stand to gain, but because they enjoy the unraveling, the chaos, the reaction. They want to see what you will do when the knife enters your back. They want to witness the exact moment your trust shatters, to study the look in your eyes when you realize that the person you once relied on was never truly on your side. And when that moment comes, when the damage is done, they will not flinch. If anything, there may be a flicker of satisfaction, barely concealed, hidden beneath false regret, a carefully constructed performance of remorse that exists not to make things right, but to make you doubt what you know to be true. And you will doubt, because betrayal is not just about the act itself. It is about the destruction it leaves behind. It does not just take from you, it changes you. It makes you question everyone. It poisons the memories you once cherished, turns warmth into something bitter, makes you wonder if you were ever truly seen at all. But the truth is, the betrayal says nothing about you. It does not mean you were naive or foolish or blind. It does not mean you were weak for trusting. It means they were empty enough to throw it all away. Because betrayal is not a mistake. It is not an accident. It is a choice. And a person who makes that choice once will make it again, and again, and again. And because once you betray without consequence, once you see how easily trust can be manipulated, how quickly faith can be broken, it becomes an addiction. And those who thrive on betrayal do not stop. For them, it is about power. And there is no greater power than control. Because that is what all of this comes down to. Some people do not seek love or friendship or connection. They seek power. Over you, over others, over everything around them. They do not want to exist in harmony in the way they carry themselves, in the way they take up space, in the way they speak as though their words are law. They demand attention, demand respect, demand obedience. And if they do not get it, they will take it through manipulation, through intimidation, through whatever means necessary. Because for them, submission is the only currency that matters. They do not want equals. They do not want partners. They want control. And there is no limit to how far they will go to get it. They will wear you down, little by little, until your choices are no longer your own, until you hesitate before speaking, before acting, before thinking, until your independence is so eroded that you do not even recognize the person you have become. Because that is the goal, not just obedience, total surrender. And here's the most dangerous part. They do not always take this power by force. Some do, yes. Some use fear, aggression, threats. But the truly dangerous ones, they do not need to raise their voice. They do not need to lift a hand. They make you willingly give them power. Make you believe it is your choice, make you feel as though you are the one in control, even as they strip it away piece by piece. They will test you, push boundaries, see how far they can go before you push back, And if you let them, even once, if you excuse their actions, if you tell yourself it was a misunderstanding, that they did not mean it, that they will change, they know they have won. Because the greatest trick of those who crave power is making you believe that giving it away was never their idea. It was yours. There is only one way to stop them. You do not reason with them. You do not plead. You do not try to explain yourself, because they already understand exactly what they are doing. You take back what is yours. You walk away. You reclaim your mind, your choices, your life. Because the only thing a person like this who refuses to be one thing they cannot control. So what do? You see them, you recognize them, you do not excuse their actions, you do not let their poison seep into your heart. And most of all, you walk away. Because the only thing an evil person fears is the one who refuses to be controlled. And that, my friends, is the one power they will never have. Beware, be vigilant, and most of all, be free.